Hello everyone, this is Jasmina, and in this video I'm going to talk about BATSA roots and resources. My standard claim, don't put your date of birth and birth time here. I don't do BATSA, and if you do that, you really increase your risk for identity theft. So hopefully this will help people at least get some good ideas or be able to start to understand their BATSA. But if you really need help, you're going to have to hire somebody, and it's not me. So a daymaster is usually considered, well, maybe always considered, more stable and has a better quality. And I put the quality in quotes because they're pretty vague about what that means. But all that happens if the daymaster is rooted. And that is a literal translation, I think, from the Chinese. Now, resources within the chart, according to certain people, can either be harmful or helpful, that is, certain masters. Not all of them agree on this. So, and I don't have enough experience to tell who's right. Now, even Earth Day masters who are already quite stable can benefit from being rooted. And it's maybe a little strange, but if they're rooted, they don't mind change as much because it's more like change on the outside, and they don't really feel like it affects them so much, although it will. But uh, they basically understand that yes, some changes will have to happen, but their heart or their real basic things are still quite stable, and that's part of being rooted. Now, resources can help a weak daymaster become stronger, and I already talked about this in the um, last video where I'm talking about what is your favorable, unfavorable balance. And this is usually to a person's benefit. Everybody agrees on this, actually. Of course, you can have a weak daymaster and overall have a strong chart if everything supports the daymaster. So it can actually have a negative effect if the chart is somehow super strong. Now, resources will make a strong daymaster become stronger, and generally that's considered a negative because then you're not so balanced. But I think that even if you have resources, what you really want to look at is the overall balance. As long as that is still close to being balanced, I think a resource is still good for a strong daymaster. But that's my opinion, and it's just because it makes sense to me. Now, the most important pillar to look at is your day pillar because your daymaster is you. You know, the day pillar represents you and perhaps your spouse, if you have one. Now, a rooted daymaster is more stable, and basically it's a stronger sense of self. And it said it has a better quality if it's rooted than not being rooted. And you can look at the rootedness of any pillar, and the heaven stem can be stabilized in that pillar by being rooted, regardless of which pillar it is. Now, some practitioners, or I should say masters really, distinguish between favorable and unfavorable elements. And I believe that they are referring to the element of that pillar. That is, let's say it's your year pillar, and 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 is that element a favorable element to your daymaster? And of course, that depends on whether or not your daymaster is strong or weak. So this is why I go step by step, because you have to get this all right to get to this point. Now, they state that any rooted daymaster is only, or I'm sorry, any rooted pillar, um, perhaps other than your day pillar, is only good for you if it is one of your favorable elements. If it's one of your unfavorable elements, this is a negative feature. But not all masters state this. So there is, let's say there is some disagreement here about who is, who is, well, I don't want to say who is right, but who who is the more dominant one. I mean, I assume one of them is closer to being right, but it's not like these things are cut and dried. There are probably gray areas, a lot of gray areas between these two. Now, the idea that an unfavorable element being negative guarantees that a strong day master would be harmed by being rooted and would be harmed by having resources. And that, to me, does not make sense. It just it goes against everything, even the people who say this about it depends whether it's a favorable or unfavorable element, even they want you to have a rooted day master. So it might be that it would apply to other pillars, but not your day pillar. So, and this is not clearly stated, but this is the only thing that makes sense when I look at what everybody says. Now, the reason why a rooted day master is always good is because your day master represents you. So, a rooted element is always your day master element. That is, if you're looking at your day pillar, and it will automatically be an unfavorable element if you have a strong day master. But yet this is again this controversy. But having a day master without root makes your sense of self less stable, makes you less able to deal with life challenges. I mean, it's even those day masters who say you don't want to have an unfavorable element affecting your day master, even they say your day master should be rooted. So there's, let's say, a little bit of I won't say controversy, but a little bit of not being so clear, because I think they do mean, even they say their day master should be rooted. So I would say being rooted is more important than worrying about your favorable, unfavorable element, you know, kind of thing, especially if you have a strong day master. You still should be rooted. Now, strong day masters can still be weakened by other elements in your chart, and you can have a balanced or even weak chart and still have a rooted day master. So you have to look at the chart as a whole. I don't think you can just look at one pillar and decide all this. Now, a weak chart is definitely strengthened by having a rooted day master. That is quite clear, and there's no controversy about that. Now, looking beyond the day master, rootedness in a pillar can make that pillar stronger, which can give you more power in that area. So if you have a rooted month, that often makes your career more stable, and your commitment to your job stronger, and you're basically more interested in it. You learn more. You're able to move up faster because basically you're committed to doing your job well. Now, if it happens to be an unfavorable element, I don't think that's a disaster. But of course, some masters might. I think it really still depends on your overall elemental balance, whether or not this is good or bad. And this applies to the other pillars too, your year pillar and your hour pillar. Your year pillar corresponds to your parents, your grandparents, and your bosses. So if you have a rooted pillar there, that means that you have a better relationship with these people. And your hour pillar corresponds to your children, ideas, and investments. So if you have a rooted pillar there, that means that these things work a little better. That is, you're able to choose better investments. Your ideas generally are a little better, more able to happen. And you have a good relationship with your kids if you have any. Now, your day pillar, the animal sign in your day pillar, actually corresponds to your spouse. So if you have a rooted day pillar, you're more likely to have a good relationship with your spouse. Now, roots can occur when the day master, or if you're looking at other ones, whatever the heaven stem is, that has a repeated element in the hidden stem. So that's how you know whether or not your Daymaster or any of your stems are rooted. The best way or the strongest way to have a rooted Daymaster is it'll be in the day pillar with the same polarity. The next best would be the opposite polarity. It is okay if it's in adjacent pillars, and it could be either polarity. It's not as strong, but it's still good. And the last one would be the non-adjacent pillar. So if we're talking about the day pillar, the adjacent ones are the hour and the month, and the non-adjacent one is the year. But you can do this for any, and I think it's clear what non-adjacent means. Now, the hidden stems, you might say, well, how do we figure those out? Those are dictated by the animal signs, and I've talked about this before. The animal sign will tell you, once you know that, you actually know what your hidden stems are. And here's the table. I do know it's all in Chinese, may drive some people a little bit crazy. There is some sources on the next slide. I would tell you where you can find it in both English and in Chinese, but it's just, if I try to put English on here, it's so tiny you can't read it. So for me, this is totally readable because this is only 22 characters that you have to know to be able to read this. So the animal signs and their hidden stems are listed, and you have to look at two different diagrams, but the best one is this chimatters.com. It will, you have to look at these, again, these two different diagrams, but they list everything. And it is clearer because it's, like you can expand your page on the internet, so you can actually really see what's going on. It's just very hard to do in a slide. I could maybe do each one separately, but that's a big pain. Also, Wikibooks has one. Now, it lists it with H1, H2, H3, and so forth. If you're familiar with what fengshui.com does, they use the same system. So H1 is yang wood, H2 is yin wood, and then yang fire, yin fire. That's 3 and 4, and so forth. So what we want to look at when we're looking for the root, which will happen in the hidden stem, we first look at the main qi. The main qi will almost always be bigger and oftentimes in bold. It isn't always in the center. Sometimes it's off to one side or the other. It depends on who is doing it. I can't remember what the Batsa calculator looks like. I don't know. But anyway, I think it looks like this. And then this is the strongest of the qis. And then you have two sub-qis. And you can see if we look here, the rat, the rabbit, and the rooster only have one type of qi, and it's the main qi because there's nothing else. There are two, the pig and the horse, that have two, and the bigger of the two is the main qi. And then the remainder of them all have three. So you will have, of course, a better chance. If you have some of these with three, you have a much better chance of having a rooted Daymaster or a rooted stem, or rooted pillar of any type. Now, again, the first place you want to look for is at the main qi. And if you want to get really picky about this, we can order these in terms of strength. The very strongest one is the Daymaster has its identical element in the main qi of the hidden stem of the day pillar. The second level is it's the same element of opposite polarity also, but it has to be in the main qi of the day pillar. And we have the third one. It's the identical element in the sub-qi of the day pillar. And then the same element but opposite polarity in the sub-qi of the day pillar. That is like they, if you are lucky enough to have this right in your day pillar, this is kind of tells you what this is. But if you have it in your day pillar, these are all very good. And it's kind of hard to say really, well, yes, 4 isn't quite as strong, but you're still very well rooted and you don't have to worry about it. Now, your day master again can be rooted by the same element of either polarity in any one of the stems or any one of the pillars. Now, it will be weaker than the day, but you can look as the month and the hour. Those are the adjacent ones. They would, let's say, start with 5, 6, 7, and 8, that order. And you would just, it wouldn't matter whether it's the month or the hour, they both do it. Now, if you have it in both if you have a routine in both the hour and in the month, but not in the day, that's still pretty strong. And it might be almost as good as the day. And then, of course, if it's the year, it's the non-adjacent pillar. And so that would be even, that would be then, that was 8, 9, 10, it would be 9, 10, 11, 12. And so you could say you could do this in up to 12 levels. But even if it's only in the year and it's of the opposite polarity in the subchi of the year, that is still better than nothing. And you should still be happy. Now, some practitioners, not all, or maybe I should really say masters, but their followers will do the same. They will state that a wood day master also needs water, which is its resource, in the hidden stem of that day pillar or in the adjacent pillars, not in the year pillar. It has to be in either the month or the day, the hour. Now, this might be because wood is the only living element, and so it needs water to survive. So this may just be a surmising something that might or might not be there. But again, it's still a resource, which is typically good. So even theoretically, if you have a strong day master. So, but this is the only one. So if you have anything other than a wood day master, you don't have to worry about having a resource next door. Now, there are 28 of the 60 pillars, that is the jatsi, all the combinations of animals and elements. There's 60 of them. And they are rooted without the aid of an adjacent pillar or any other pillar. So this can help you see whether or not you have this really quickly. Now, of course, again, they're in Chinese, but I will tell you what they are. Well, we'll start over here. This is this is an earth ox. This is a wood rabbit. This is an earth goat, a metal rooster, a wood tiger, a earth dragon, a metal monkey, and a earth dog. You see that this element here is repeated in the main stem on each one of these. And this is the highest level of the rootedness that you can be. It's an identical element in the main chi. So this one only has 4. We have water, rat. We have fire, horse, fire, snake, and water, pig. And this one is the same element of opposite polarity in the main chi. So these are both water, these are both fire, fire and water. Now, this is the third strongest type. We have metal ox, fire tiger, wood goat, water monkey, water ox, earth tiger, fire goat, and earth monkey. And so you can see it's in the sub chi, but it's the same element. That's how it's done. And then we have the last bunch. This is water, dragon, earth, snake, earth, horse, metal, dog, wood, dragon, metal, snake, fire, dog, and wood, pig. And so these are both water, these are both earth, metal, wood, metal, fire, and wood. So it's the same element, opposite polarity in the subchi. So if you have any one of those as your day pillar, you are very firmly rooted. Any one of those 28. So that's nearly half. I mean, not quite, but pretty darn close. So, for example, if you have a yang water daymaster, you could be rooted any one of these ways. And this, of course, is the strongest, but it's still number 2. And these two are this one is 3 and this one is 4. But these are still all good. You should be happy if you have any one of those. So I counted them all up. If you have yang wood, you have 2 chances, 2 animal signs that will have you rooted. If you have yang fire, you've got 3. If you have yang earth, there are 5. This one is very high chances to be rooted. If you have metal, yang metal, you've got 2 chances, and yang water, you've got 3. That is, there are 3 animal signs that will give you it. If you are a wood daymaster, yin wood daymaster, then you have chances of 3 animal signs. There are 3 that will give you rootedness. If you've got yin fire, you've got 2. Yin earth, you've got 3. Yin metal, you've got 3. And yin water, you've got 2. And you can see that the ones except for the earth are kind of like a mirror image, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 2, 3. And then you've got earth, which is a little bit strange. Now, this doesn't mean your daymaster is not rooted if you don't have one of those 28, because you can check your adjacent and even your year pillar to see if you have the right element anywhere. And if you have it, you're rooted. And I would say a lot of people are rooted. You have a much higher chance of being rooted than not rooted, is my guess. Now, this is a really good website that discusses a lot more detail about what rootedness means. It is quite long. I'm going to try to stick this in the comments below, because these are Chinese characters. They are a little tricky to get because if you don't know how to write in Chinese, it's very hard. So I will try to stick it where you can actually click on it if you really want to read more about it. But you can also just search for it and see if you can find medium.com. Even this much should get you close to where you need to go. So what does rootedness do? That I haven't addressed quite fully. So it tends to give the individual more stability in their personality. They have stronger core beliefs and a stronger sense of self. This means that they are less likely or less easily led astray by manipulative people. Now, it doesn't mean it can't happen, but usually a person who has good rootedness will have something happen relatively early in their life, and they will realize what is the danger signs of a manipulative person, and then they're on their guard. Someone who isn't rooted may not be able to recognize the signs and can be led astray many times in their life. And of course, how strongly rooted you are makes it harder for people to manipulate you. Now, also, people that have really strong rootedness, they tend to be more tolerant. And if not more tolerant, at least they're less worried about people with different beliefs, because that doesn't destroy their own belief. So it's more like a live and let live attitude. I grew up in the Bible Belt, and there were people who were like devastated if and it seemed like it was destroying their belief if you did not believe what they believe. Those people probably are not rooted. I mean, I don't know any of them, any of their birth dates to check, because that was like almost a half a century ago. So, it's really hard to say. But I have a feeling those people don't have really good roots in their Batsa, because if they did, they wouldn't worry about all this. In general, it can also lead to a more stable life because you don't get taken in by manipulative people, so you tend to avoid issues and problems. So what does lack of rootedness do? Basically, you can be led astray relatively easily. Of course, young people tend to be more easily led astray in general because they're still learning. But if you don't have roots, then it's very easy to get into like relationships that get worse and worse as time goes on, in terms of perhaps even breaking the law and becoming a chronic criminal where you just can't seem to cope with life. I mean, that's an extreme. But if you have no rootedness, this is distinctly possible. Now, you also tend to have a less stable life because you're often manipulated, basically. Now, is it a disaster not to have a rooted daymaster? Well, my answer is no. It's not a disaster. But if you do not have a good childhood and moral people in your life, especially when you're young, and that you can be taught, then if you don't have roots, it can be really easy to go astray and get into trouble. Now, when it comes to resources, this is pretty simple in the idea. I think most people have seen this before. This is the growth cycle of the 5 elements. So wood produces fire, fire produces earth, earth produces metal, metal produces water, and water produces wood. So it's just a circle. Now, the element that is your resource is the element that produces you as a daymaster. So if you're a wood daymaster, it's water. If you're a fire daymaster, it's wood. If you're earth daymaster, it's fire, and so forth. So it's pretty simple. Now, what we're looking for is this element that produces you somewhere in your chart. It can be in your day pillar or any other pillar, and it can be in the main or the sub-chi. It's not quite so important. But a daymaster with resources is someone who has something to support them, basically, that lets them grow and become better. So here's an example. Here we have a fire rabbit, and the rabbit has just the wood. So this wood feeds the fire. So this is the resource for this pillar. Now this isn't rooted by itself, but it may have roots in adjacent pillars or the year pillar. This is just one pillar to look at. Here's another example. This is wood. This is water. Water produces wood. And this one is also rooted because it has wood right here. So this is a wood pig. So this one is rooted and has resources in its own pillar. This one is a metal tiger. It is not rooted here, but the earth It does have resources. This is the earth that produces the metal. So it does have at least resources. And again, in other pillars, it might be rooted. And here we have a wood dragon. Water here produces the wood, and it's also rooted because this is also wood. So you can have them both, depending on what your pillar is. So rootedness and resources can occur in a single pillar, but resources can come from any of the other pillars. And it's not so important. I mean, rootedness, if it's in the same pillar, your day pillar, is much stronger. Resources, it's a lot more relaxed. Anywhere is basically good enough. And again, a weekday master, of course, is strengthened by having resources. And so you would want to have more resources in a person with a weekday master, their chart. A strong day master can become too strong if it has too much resources, but if it has at least one resource and enough other stuff to balance it out, that's good. That will allow it not to be too strong. So again, you want to look at the overall balance of your Batsa, and I talked about that in the previous video. Now, I'm just try to remind you, basically, the elements that are favorable depend on the strength of your Daymaster. So I'm summarizing the previous slide. Strong Daymasters need weakening for balance. So the element that the Daymaster produces, the element that the Daymaster controls, and the element that controls the Daymaster are its favorable elements. Weak Daymasters need strengthening for balance. So the same element as the Daymaster, that's one, and the element that produces, that is its resource, that is the ones that are the favorable elements for the weak Daymasters. So you want to have more of those, whereas for a strong Daymaster, you maybe just want one. I mean, that would be nice. Then you have the resources and you don't have too many resources to make you too strong. But this idea of if it's an unfavorable element, that is, if the resource element is unfavorable, that it would be bad for you. Well, this just basically means if you have a strong Daymaster, the resources automatically are unfavorable elements. This is guaranteed because of the way it's defined. So again, this is one reason I really question these rules for a Daymaster, because you get conflicting information even from the people who say it shouldn't be an unfavorable element. So, but they don't give us enough examples for me to understand exactly what they mean. So it may apply to other pillars, but not the day pillar. Now, it is basically, I have not seen this any place said otherwise. It is agreed that it's better to have a rooted Daymaster because your life tends to be smoother. Other pillars being rooted aren't necessarily so important. And also there's this question, well, is this pillar a favorable element? You know, does the heaven stem, is that a favorable element to your Daymaster? If it is, then it's good for it to be rooted. But if it's unfavorable, it would be bad for it to be rooted. That is what they're trying to say. And maybe that is true. I really wish they would give more examples, because then this would really help me understand it. But, I mean, I understand what they mean, but it just seems like this can't be really right. But maybe it is. But again, not all masters agree on this. So this is still up in the air as far as I'm concerned. Now, having resources for your Daymaster is basically good by most masters. but the same issue of favorable versus unfavorable elements seem to make some masters disagree. But I'm not, I mean, I really find this hard to believe, because resources for your day master usually allow you to learn fast, and that's almost always good. So this is why I really wonder why some of these masters say this, especially about the day master. So the way I look at it is, if you have a decent balance, I mean, it's hard to have a true balance, but even if you're somewhat close with the overall balance of favorable and unfavorable elements, you don't need to worry about what element that may be rooted is going to be bad for you. I think your overall balance is more important than any one pillar in terms of, do we have to worry about, is this a favorable or unfavorable element? So that's it. I know this wasn't maybe as definitive as some of my other videos. I would say I really am a little bit confused by these different opinions. And this, again, is one reason why I don't do Batsa. It's really hard to get really good information because they want you to pay for their classes. And like I said, you've got all these different masters with these different recommendations. And if you take all of them, it's like really 20,000 US dollars. Who's got that kind of money? It's insane. So either you pick one and you hope it's the right one, or you say, well, I'll just live my life and work hard and hopefully things will go well, which is how I'm living my life. I mean, I haven't really analyzed my Batsa either.